In the relentless world of modern life, no one is immune to moments of weakness. There are days when exhaustion piles up, disappointment gnaws at our resolve, and pain makes us want to give up. Yet amidst all that chaos, there are still people who never back down. They weren't born strong. They don't rely on luck. They forge their resilience with a silent weapon, inner strength. This isn't cold indifference, but the ability to face adversity with a clear mind and a calm heart. So, what enables them to stand so firm? The answer lies in adhering to ruthless rules and principles that may sound harsh, but are the foundation of an unbreakable will. Stoicism, the philosophy of calmness and self-mastery, teaches us not to run from emotions or buckle under pressure, but to rise again and again and live with meaning. Today, let's uncover 12 ruthless rules to build true inner strength so that no matter how fierce the storm, you will not only endure but truly live. 1. Stop complaining. Stop complaining. Complaining is easy. It comes naturally when things don't go our way, when deadlines loom, relationships disappoint, or life simply feels unfair. But each complaint is like a weight we add to our own shoulders, dragging us deeper into negativity. Instead of lightening our burdens, complaining keeps us trapped in a cycle of frustration, resentment, and helplessness. The more we focus on what's wrong, the less energy we have left to change what we can. Stoicism invites us to break free from this cycle. Rather than spending our days pointing fingers or voicing grievances, Stoics urge us to turn inward and ask, "What is within my power?" It's a radical shift from being a passive victim of circumstance to becoming an active creator of our own lives. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, once wrote, "Don't be overheard complaining, not even to yourself." This seemingly simple advice carries profound weight. To refuse to complain, even in the privacy of our minds, is to train ourselves in resilience. It means choosing not to be defined by what happens to us, but by how we respond. Consider this. At work, when a project falls apart or a colleague lets you down, the instinct may be to vent with others, hoping for sympathy. But what does that achieve? At best, a fleeting sense of validation. At worst, an even deeper feeling of powerlessness. Instead of wasting energy on complaints, ask yourself, what can I do right now? Perhaps it's taking one small step to fix the problem, seeking support from the right person, or simply accepting what you can't change. Action, no matter how small, shifts your focus from problems to solutions. Over time, this habit transforms your mindset. You begin to notice possibilities instead of obstacles. The world no longer feels hostile or unfair. It becomes a landscape of challenges waiting for your response. By refusing to complain, you reclaim control over your emotions and your life. Each time you choose action over complaint, you strengthen your inner resolve and set yourself on the path to real, lasting strength. Ultimately, to stop complaining is not about denying reality or pretending everything is perfect. It's about accepting responsibility for your experience and rising to meet life as it is, one intentional action at a time. 2. Accept what you cannot control. Accept what you cannot control. Imagine you've been planning a long-awaited trip for months. The tickets are booked, the itinerary is set, and your heart is brimming with excitement. Then on the day of departure, a sudden storm sweeps in, grounding every flight and dashing your plans to pieces. It's natural in that moment to feel frustrated or even defeated. Yet this is precisely the kind of no direction and effort is wasted on self-deception. When you own your mistakes, you reclaim the ability to shape your future. You become not a victim of fate, but an active participant in your own transformation. And here's the secret. This honesty is liberating. It frees you from the exhausting task of maintaining illusions. It makes room for authentic strength, the kind that doesn't depend on outside approval or fleeting luck. But honesty alone is never enough. To truly transform, you must take the next step: relentless self-discipline. Are you ready to push yourself beyond what's comfortable? The journey only gets more intense from here. Let's see what happens when you commit fully and fiercely to your own growth. Practice relentless self-discipline. 4. Practice relentless self-discipline. True strength is never born from comfort or applause. It takes root in those silent moments when nobody is watching, when no hand is there to nudge you forward, and no praise waits at the end of your effort. This is where relentless self-discipline becomes the quiet architect of a powerful inner life. In the philosophy of Stoicism, discipline is not a burden, but a promise you make to yourself, a daily choice to become better, not for recognition, but for your own growth. Many people believe willpower is only tested in grand heroic situations. Yet in reality, your character is shaped in the quiet dawns when you rise early. Not because anyone commands you, but because you know the value of time. Every morning you lace up your shoes to train your body, not for applause, but for health and clarity of mind. You are building resilience. Each evening you sit with a book, learning and reflecting when you could have chosen distraction. You are reinforcing the habit of self-mastery. These acts of discipline, small and repeated, form an unbreakable foundation. They are not for display. They are for you, and they are enough. Of course, the path is often lonely. There will be mornings when your body aches and your mind invents 100 excuses. No one will know if you hit snooze. No one will punish you for skipping your run or leaving a task unfinished. But it is precisely in those moments, when the choice is yours and yours alone, that you discover what you are truly made of. Stoicism teaches that discipline is the ability to govern yourself, to act according to reason and purpose rather than impulse or comfort. This in turn breeds an inner strength that external circumstances can never touch. As days turn into weeks and weeks into years, these private victories become part of who you are. You begin to trust yourself more deeply, knowing that you are capable of doing what is necessary, even when it is hard, even when nobody is watching. Over time, this relentless self-discipline forges a confidence that is quiet but unshakable. In the end, you realize it is not the world's eyes that matter, but the standards you hold yourself to in the silence. Here, in this private arena, real power is born and it lasts. Don't seek approval from others. 5. Don't seek approval from others. One of the most powerful acts of self-mastery is learning not to live for the approval of others. In a world obsessed with likes, compliments, and validation, it's easy to find ourselves trapped in a cycle of pleasing those around us, friends, family, colleagues, even strangers online. But when your decisions are shaped by the expectations of others, you risk losing sight of who you really are. Your dreams, values, and desires become blurred beneath the weight of external judgments. Each time you silence your own voice to satisfy someone else's, a part of you fades until one day you no longer recognize the person in the mirror. The philosopher Epictetus once said, If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. This is not an invitation to ignore wisdom, but a challenge to endure the discomfort of being misunderstood or criticized if it means staying true to yourself. When you chase approval, you are forever a prisoner of opinions, praising yourself when others praise you, and doubting yourself when they withhold their admiration. True inner strength lies in breaking this chain and daring to make choices that align with your own principles. Even when the world disagrees, think about the crossroads you have faced: choosing a career, picking a field of study, or even deciding how to live each day. So often, the loudest voices are not your own, but those of family expectations, social trends, or fleeting fashions. In those moments, it is vital to pause and ask, is this truly what I want? This question, simple yet profound, is the beginning of reclaiming your authenticity. The Stoics teach us that we cannot control the opinions of others, but we can control our own judgment. Our peace depends not on applause, but on the quiet conviction that we are living honestly. As you walk the path of building inner strength, remember that seeking approval is a losing battle. There will always be someone to criticize, someone to doubt, someone who cannot understand your choices. Yet it is in choosing yourself over and over again that you develop the courage and stability the Stoics revered. Ultimately, you do not need permission to be yourself. You only need the courage to stand alone, anchored in the values that matter most to you. Face your fears and challenges head on. 6. Face your fears and challenges head on. Imagine this. You're standing before a crowd. Heart pounding, palms sweating, your mind desperately searching for the right words. Maybe it's a public speech, a job interview, or even just introducing yourself to new people. The urge to flee is overwhelming. Most of us have been there, teetering on the edge between stepping up and shrinking back. The truth is, fear grows in the shadows. The more we avoid it, the bigger and more intimidating it becomes. Yet those with real inner strength choose a different path. They face their fears and challenges head on. If you fear public speaking, for example, don't wait for some magical moment of confidence to appear. Start small, speak to a few friends, then a slightly bigger group, and keep practicing. Each attempt chips away at the mountain of anxiety until one day the summit doesn't seem so high. The act of confronting our fears, no matter how uncomfortable, is how we truly grow. It is not the absence of fear that makes us strong, but our willingness to meet it with open eyes and steady resolve. When you step into your fears, instead of retreating, you discover a surprising truth. What once seemed insurmountable becomes manageable, even ordinary. Every time you lean into discomfort, you take ownership of your life. You become the kind of person who refuses to be controlled by doubts and worries. This shift doesn't happen overnight, but it happens one honest confrontation at a time. Life will always present challenges, but your power comes from the decision to meet them rather than run. Now, before we move on, I want to pause and thank you for sticking with me through this journey so far. Your engagement genuinely pushes this message further, and together we can create real change. One smile, one small victory at a time. And hey, are you thinking about clicking away right now? Don't even think about it. That would be a big mistake. The next rules I'm about to share are even more transformative. Trust me, you'll want to stay because we're just getting to the best part. You won't believe what's coming next. These are the secrets that can truly change your life. So, be patient together. We're about to take things to a whole new level. Never blame circumstances or others. 7. Never blame circumstances or others. One of the most powerful shifts you can make in your journey toward inner strength is to abandon the habit of blaming circumstances or other people for your struggles. At first glance, this principle might feel severe, even unfair. After all, life often throws obstacles in our path that seem entirely outside of our control. A struggling economy, difficult colleagues, or even unexpected tragedies. It is natural, almost instinctive, to point fingers at external forces when things go wrong. But this reflex, while comforting in the short term, quietly erodes your sense of agency and freedom. When you blame, you hand over the keys to your own life. You allow external events or the actions of others to dictate your happiness, your growth, and even your identity. Marcus Aurelius, one of Stoicism's great thinkers, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." The lesson is simple yet revolutionary. True strength begins the moment you accept responsibility for your choices, regardless of circumstance. Consider, for example, the common experience of failing to meet a financial goal. It is easy to fault the economy, rising prices, or the decisions of employers and politicians. Yet this perspective locks you into a position of helplessness, waiting for the world to change before you can succeed. The Stoic, on the other hand, looks inward. They ask, what could I have done differently? What skills can I develop? What habits or beliefs have held me back? By shifting focus from blame to personal responsibility, they regain control over their future, no matter how uncertain the world may seem. This approach is not about ignoring injustice or denying real obstacles. It is about refusing to let those obstacles define who you are or how you respond by accepting full responsibility for your life. You become the author of your own story. Each setback becomes an opportunity for growth. Each challenge is a test of your character, not a verdict on your worth. Ultimately, blaming circumstances is a seductive form of surrender. But inner strength, the kind that endures, can only grow when you stand up, own your choices, and decide every day to be responsible for your path. This is the heart of Stoicism and the foundation of a truly resilient life. 8. Learn to say no to the unimportant. In a world overflowing with distractions and temptations, the ability to say no has become a rare and powerful virtue. We live amidst constant invitations, opportunities that glitter, requests that seem urgent, demands that arrive without end. Every day, countless things clamor for our attention, each one promising a fleeting sense of satisfaction or belonging. But beneath the surface, we often find ourselves scattered and exhausted, pulled in too many directions, unsure what truly matters. Stoic philosophy reminds us that inner strength does not come from saying yes to everything or everyone. On the contrary, real power comes from the discipline to choose wisely. Every time you say yes to something trivial, you say no to something essential, your own growth, your peace of mind, your deepest values. Life's abundance is seductive, but not everything that glitters is worth your energy. Learning to say no is an act of self-respect. It is the quiet courage to draw boundaries, to honor your time and purpose, even when it means disappointing others. This is not selfishness, it is clarity. When you turn down the unimportant, you are not closing yourself off to the world. You are opening yourself to what truly matters. You create space for meaningful work, deep relationships, and personal growth. Each refusal becomes an affirmation. You are in charge of your life, not a passenger swept along by every current. Yet, this discipline is hard. It takes practice to resist the fear of missing out, to stand firm when others expect you to comply. But with each conscious no, you become stronger. Your mind clears. You begin to live by intention, not by habit or social pressure. Over time, you discover that you don't need more options, you need more focus. And from that focus, your inner strength quietly flourishes. So, next time the world demands your attention, pause and ask yourself, does this truly matter, or is it just another distraction? Give yourself permission to choose the path that aligns with your values. Remember, every no to the unimportant is a resounding yes to your own growth and meaning. What about you? Have you struggled to say no to things that don't truly matter? Share your experiences and thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your story. Don't expect life to be fair. 9. Don't expect life to be fair. One of the harshest but most liberating truths we can embrace is this: life is not fair. No matter how hard we try to tilt the scales, the world will never completely align with our sense of justice or what we think we deserve. This realization can sting at first. It may feel like surrendering to disappointment, but in truth, accepting the world's unpredictability is the first step toward true inner strength. When we stop expecting fairness from life, we are no longer held hostage by resentment or endless questions of why me. Instead, we reclaim our power to shape our own responses. When something unfair happens, maybe you worked hard and someone else got the credit, or fate seemed to single you out for hardship, it's easy to feel bitter or defeated. But holding on to that bitterness only deepens your suffering. If you fixate on what you cannot change, you give away your inner peace. However, if you accept that life's playing field is not level, you open the door to a new kind of freedom. You realize that disappointment and setbacks are not personal vendettas from the universe. They are simply part of being alive. This acceptance does not mean you should stop striving for justice or that you become numb to pain. Rather, it means you don't let unfairness control your spirit. You adapt, you learn, and you keep moving forward regardless of the obstacles thrown your way. Take, for example, the countless hard-working people who pour their energy and heart into their goals only to face setbacks or injustices. The world may not reward them in the way they hoped, but what sets them apart is their response. They don't let bitterness consume them. Instead, they adapt, grow, and persist with integrity. In doing so, they become truly powerful, not because life favored them, but because they refuse to surrender their spirit to cynicism or despair. So the next time life lets you down, remember you have a choice. You can protest the unfairness, or you can rise above it. The path to inner strength begins with letting go of the need for everything to be fair and choosing instead to master your own mind. What do you think? How have you dealt with unfairness in your own life? Share your thoughts below. Your story could inspire someone else to keep going. Embrace patience and wait for results. Embrace patience and wait for results. Patience is not simply the act of waiting. It is a profound discipline that forges powerful inner strength. In a world addicted to instant gratification, we are constantly surrounded by messages promising quick fixes and overnight success. But the wisdom of Stoicism reminds us that genuine growth is never hurried. True strength emerges when we surrender our craving for immediate results and learn to trust the slow, often invisible process of change. When we rush, we rob ourselves of depth. Consider the journey of someone transforming their body through months, even years of dedicated training. No one who steps into a gym expecting a sculpted physique in a week can withstand the inevitable plateaus and setbacks. It is the person who patiently shows up day after day, rep after rep, who ultimately witnesses real transformation. This principle echoes far beyond fitness. Whether building a business, healing from loss, or cultivating wisdom, every enduring achievement is born from 1,000 small patient steps. Patience is not passivity. It is an active engagement with the present moment, a conscious choice to keep moving forward, however slowly. When results seem delayed or progress feels invisible, the impatient mind grows, restless, frustrated, or defeated. But the Stoic mind understands that worthwhile things require time to ripen. The oak tree stands tall, not because it rushed its growth, but because it grew steadily, rooted deeply, enduring seasons of drought and storm. So too our character is shaped quietly, almost imperceptibly, as we persist through struggle, disappointment, and the temptation to quit. Embracing patience is in essence an act of faith in the process, faith in our own discipline, and faith that our efforts will bear fruit even if we cannot see the results today. It asks us to give up control over outcomes, to invest our energy in what we can do right now, and to let time do its work. In that space, we cultivate resilience. We learn to detach from quick rewards and anchor ourselves in the satisfaction of steady progress. By choosing patience, we honor the natural pace of growth. We become less shaken by setbacks and more grateful for small wins. Over time, patience transforms from a test of endurance into a quiet confidence, a powerful inner strength that cannot be rushed or faked, but only earned. 11. Learn from every failure. Learn from every failure. Failure. It is a word that often makes us shrink inside, a word heavy with regret, pain, and sometimes shame. But if you look closely, failure is not the end of your story. It is in truth one of life's most patient and honest teachers. For the Stoic, failure is not a curse, but an invitation, a chance to step into the arena of self-mastery and truly grow. Every stumble is a mirror, reflecting not just what went wrong, but what could be better, wiser, stronger within us. Too often when we fall short, our first instinct is to blame ourselves, to spiral into self-criticism, or even to give up entirely. Yet this response only chains us to our past. The real strength lies in the ability to pause, breathe, and look directly at our failures. What happened? Why did it happen? What does this moment have to teach me that success never could? In the eyes of a Stoic, every defeat is a lesson, a hidden opportunity wrapped in discomfort. Consider for a moment at those who seem truly resilient. It is rarely because their path was smooth, but rather because they have learned to rise again. Each time a little more aware, a little less afraid. They do not see mistakes as proof of weakness, but as raw material for wisdom. Each failure is a forge for character, a place where ego is tempered, humility is born, and resolve is strengthened. Instead of turning away, they choose to ask, what can I do differently next? Time, how can I transform this pain into progress? Imagine the courage it takes to embrace your shortcomings, to face your limits, and see them not as obstacles, but as stepping stones. This shift in perspective unlocks something powerful, a freedom from fear and a new sense of purpose. When you can look back on every fall and find the lesson waiting for you, failure becomes not your enemy, but your greatest ally. The journey is never about perfection, but about relentless improvement, built moment by moment. And just as every failure carries its lesson, there is one final truth that gives all our efforts meaning. After the struggle, after the lessons learned, what remains most precious is the ability to appreciate what we have right now. As we arrive at the 12th and final rule, we uncover the heart of true strength, the power to practice gratitude and fully embrace the present moment. Are you ready to discover it? Always practice gratitude and appreciate the present. Always practice gratitude and appreciate the present. Among all the ruthless rules that forge true inner strength, the habit of practicing gratitude stands as one of the most powerful and perhaps the most underestimated. It is easy to dismiss gratitude as something simple in a world that often glorifies relentless ambition and constant striving. Yet it is precisely gratitude that forms the bedrock of a resilient soul. In the Stoic tradition, strength is not the absence of hardship, but the ability to stand steady when storms rage within and without. Gratitude is the compass that helps you find balance amid those storms. The power of gratitude lies in its ability to shift your focus away from what you lack towards what you already have. In moments of struggle, negativity can easily take over, making every setback seem overwhelming and every loss feel permanent. But when you make space for gratitude, you change your internal narrative. Suddenly, instead of drowning in disappointment, you recognize the small but real blessings that persist in your life, your health, the laughter of a friend, and a moment of peace after a long day. These are not trivial comforts. They are reminders that even in darkness, light still exists. Practicing gratitude is not a passive acceptance of fate. It is an active choice, a deliberate act of courage and clarity. The Stoics taught that while we cannot control everything that happens to us, we can always control our response. By choosing gratitude, you are refusing to let bitterness or resentment dictate your mood or actions. You are reclaiming your agency, reaffirming your values, and creating a stable ground from which to face new challenges. To make gratitude a living part of your daily life, you do not need grand gestures. Instead, carve out a quiet moment each day to reflect. Write down 3 things you are grateful for, no matter how small. A roof over your head, a conversation with someone you care about, or the simple act of breathing freely. This practice grounds you in the present, reminds you of your own resilience, and builds a reserve of hope and strength that you can draw upon whenever life tests you. Ultimately, the ruthless rule of gratitude is not about ignoring pain or pretending that hardships don't exist. It's about refusing to let them define you. By appreciating the present and practicing gratitude, you transform every day into an opportunity for strength, meaning, and true inner peace. Inner strength is never a gift you're born with. It's something you build step, conclusion, by step through relentless practice and commitment to ruthless but practical